Still in the middle of game one over here, where you see Frank Lepore on your right-hand side, board full of planeswalkers. Harry Corvese has just resolved a large Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah. You think that's enough planeswalkers? I think he needs a fourth.
He may need all of them. I mean, against a person who's just drawn 10 cards.
That's fair. Does Harry have access to anything like planar cleansing or faded retribution, anything of that nature?
No big sweeper and no elixir of immortality as well. So He's playing on a straightforward game here, game one.
Fair. So if Harry is going to answer these planeswalkers, he's actually going to have to do it card for card. Of course, as you just said, he just drew 10, so not necessarily unreasonable to expect him to just slam a bunch of detention spheres here.
Now, a big edge that Harry has in this matchup is no counterspells out of Frank's list.
True. Too busy presenting threats, as the savior intended, I think. But yeah, not a lot of reactivity here, other than a little bit of tricksiness in the form of 3 Advent of the Worm and a 1 of Cyclonic Rift.
But keep in mind here, Harry, the way his list is set up here, he does have to win, and it can't be by decking. He has no elixir, so
True.
He's going to have to find a way to slog through all these planeswalkers.
Yeah, and this is one of the toughest spots for a Sphinx's Revelation deck, when you are down in game one and you kind of feel it slipping away. Like the realization that you actually have to win two now. A lot of times these decks are in a position where they can win game one, and then there's enough time left, or enough time knocked off the clock, they can kind of cruise the rest of the way. Mm-hmm. Harry definitely does not have that luxury, is going to have to win the next 2 matches. I guess I shouldn't write him off just yet. This game not over by any means.
No, he's still slogging away here. You see a couple of meatball attacks to try to keep Frank's Kiora and Jace Architect of the Thought off of going ultimate, and Elspeth to follow up here. That's going to be plussed.
Yeah, the Jace is very, very close to ultimate, as is a Johnny, actually. This is not a matchup where 100 life is particularly relevant, though.
I mean, it could end up being relevant if Harry has no way to win except buy through damage.
That's fair. Although...
Here comes a big rev from Frank.
Yeah, that is big. Harry could win by decking after all.
This looks like a rev for just 4 or 5 here.
Okay, leaving up enough mana to...
Well, Harry is tapped out here, so it may just be an issue of him going to be discarding a hand size anyway, potentially.
Okay. I would think that if you're leaving up mana, the idea is so that you can cast something in particular that you're digging to find. Leaving up 5, so yeah, so was this on Harry's end step?
This is all on Harry's end step. Okay. Here you see an Advent here to follow up. And Frank untapping with a loaded hand here, Cyclonic Rift, Elspeth amongst his cards. He's going to take a big untap.
Yeah. This is my kind of Sphinx's Revelation mirror. Ordinarily, of course, the Sphinx's Revelation, some of the most important cards in both players' decks, they're heavily contested. I love it when players just slam Sphinx's Revelations back and forth.
Yep. So you see, Johnny's going to plus on the Advent. That's going to allow the Advent to freely attack and kill Elspeth. A couple pluses here from Jason Kiora. And that's just the beginning of Frank's turn here, as you see a Corsair Prefix.
It's like, all right, we have done all of our Planeswalker upkeep. Now it's time to cast spells and decide which of my 12 cards I get to keep.
Another land here from Frank.
So I saw a Cyclonic Rift as we passed through. I saw an Elspeth as well, actually. So a little surprising that he's not going to choose to cast that. I guess he has access to another Sphinx's Revelation, so he can fire that off if he feels the need.
So passes the turn back with a bunch of mana up. Detention Sphere, the draw for Harry.
That's big. Harry needs about 7 of those right now. but the first one's a start. So, and here, the real question is, what's the most important target here? Jace is actually about to ultimate. So my inclination is you have to kill Jace.
Yeah, I mean, there's one Aetherling in Harry's list. So that seems very hard for Harry to beat from this spot.
True.
But yeah, it would strike me as a priority to keep Jace off of the ultimate.
Sure. Well, of course, if Frank ultimates Jace and fishes out Harry's Aetherling, yeah, that's not actually that good.
Oh, sure.
Frank can't actually blink out Harry's Aetherling, or else he would just give it back to Harry.
But
So
Harry can then no longer, once that Aetherling's gone, he's
sure.
out of ways to win the game.
The game, yeah, he actually just doesn't have a win condition there.
And then Ajani can also just gain 100, and now Frank's at 140 life.
And can only win with Mutavaults.
Yeah, and like one Elspeth or something.
Right.
So it looks like Harry's going to start the turn off here with a Detention Sphere.
And yeah, a lot of juicy targets here. She's going to go with the Kiora. Actually, yeah, the Kiora also threatening the ultimate here.
Sure.
So I guess Kiora is the more frightening ultimate. They're both pretty scary.
And keep in mind, Frank still has a Cyclonic Rift here in his hand too, which can reset all of these Detention Spheres and Banishing Lights as well.
True. Yeah, we see up at the top of the screen there a Banishing Light that I believe has another Jace under it. I'm not sure about that. So that's a pretty sweet play. Ultimate Jace, immediately unlock the other one.
Sure, it's not bad.
Yeah.
All right, looks like Harry is getting ready to fire up some Mutavaults here. No, another Banishing Light.
Okay. Like I said, needs 7.
Yep. He has 6 in his list.
Yeah. So, but well, honestly, 6 would probably do it here. I may exaggerate a little. Needs 5 really, and has found 2.
All right, so that Banishing Light takes care of the Jace. Now Frank just down to his Ajani and his Worm, and a ton of cards in his hand.
Yeah, just an Ajani and an 8/8 Worm. That's not the worst spot to be in. Okay, of course, you can't discount Courser of Krufix either.
Although Harry can overpower that stuff. I mean, that's still
true.
So Frank here going to take a big untap. Elspeth in hand. He's going to plus Ajani. 3 counters onto the Courser.
Now Frank has some Oblivion Ring effects in his deck as well. He has access to 2 Banishing Light and 3 Detention Spheres. So he can actually just unlock his Planeswalkers on a 1-for-1 basis as well.
All right, so here comes an attack from Frank here. He's got his 5/7 Courser, his 8/8 Advent token. Azorius Charm is going to handle the token.
All right, so Harry weathering the storm pretty effectively here. Although, of course, as we can see, there's plenty more coming, unless Harry can successfully fight over the Sphinx's Revelation.
So we'll see right now if Harry wants to chump block. And he says, no, I'll take it.
Yeah, the difference between 18 and 13 in this matchup is relatively minor.
And here's a Jace Architect of Thought post-combat.
Okay, so that is going to stimmy any aggression from Harry. Turn off those tokens again. Harry may have been kind of thinking in terms of like, well, I don't want to give up a token here because I can use it to pressure the Ajani, or you have to start attacking Frank at some point.
Yep.
So giving up those tokens seems like a much bigger price to pay when there's not a Jace in play.
So Frank here trying to determine whether or not he wants any sort of follow-up here.
Whew, such a stacked hand.
Yep. He can cast this Elspeth. He's thumbing in Ajani as well, though I can't imagine him casting that.
He has used the Ajani this turn, right? So okay, can't ultimate and then cast, but yeah, I wouldn't imagine he would want to do that regardless.
And here's a Banishing Light from Frank.
Okay, so this would likely unlock Kiora.
Kiora seems like a safe bet. See momentarily what this is targeting.
Yeah, there'd be, of course, no reason to unlock Jace when you have already cast one from your hand. So I wasn't completely positive that that's what that top Banishing Light was hiding, but it actually is. We can see that now.
And if you look at the clock in the middle of the screen here, we're hitting 17 minutes here. Both of these players have to be concerned now. If they're not the one that wins game 1, it's going to be really hard for them to even get a draw.
Yeah, I agree. I think Harry may have been in time to scoop it up for clock reasons territory. Honestly, he may have been in that territory from the moment we switched to this match, which is a bizarre thing to say when we actually switched to him resolving a Revelation for 10.
Yeah. So Kiora is unlocked. The turn is passed back to Harry.
Take a peek. if you spot Harry and Aetherling, just right now, just he draws it, resolves it. How is that good enough here? Like, does that turn the game around?
So next turn, Frank can go ahead and gain. I think that he can probably still win against 140 life and time. 8.
I love that. I just love that that's a real statement that we get to make.
I don't know. It's like it's over 15 turns because 8 times 15 is 120.
Right.
So I would be surprised if there were 15 cards left in his deck.
That's a real concern too. Yeah.
There's still Elspeth. There's random Mutavaults. Maybe there's other tools here, but
sure. Not sure that those are actually going to get the job done. And as long as Kiora's in play, that actually blanks Aetherling as well.
Right. So you see 2 Mutavault attacks here. That's going to knock Kiora down to 1. And Frank's hand's still totally stacked. And keep in mind, he also has a Cyclonic Rift in his hand as a pretty big insurance policy in case something weird happens.
Yeah. For the most part, Harry can only answer these Planeswalkers by locking them under enchantments. So Cyclonic Rift can bump them all into play, although really just for a turn.
Yep. So Frank here casting a Sylvan Caryatid. He's plussing all of his Planeswalkers. Johnny now up to 9.
Yeah, you know, we see life totals. The one thing we don't see are library sizes. I think there's a strong possibility that Harry's actual game plan at this point is just to deck Frank the natural way, you know? You know, Frank has had an Ajani in play for a couple turns. He's had Jace, it looks like several Jaces in play over the course of this game. He's resolved at least one Sphinx's Revelation that we've seen. There's a good chance that that Harry's ahead on cards and just wants to stay alive.
Yeah, and looking at a quick check there, it looked like Harry is a little bit ahead right now. It looks like he's getting ready to Revelate, and I'm sure it's not for an amount that's going to cause him to fall behind here.
Likely going to Revelate for the exact amount that would give him the win by 1 card.
All right, so here's the Revelation and a turn here from Harry. 5 cards. Yeah, I just assumed that Harry had gone through way more of his deck at this stage of the game, but it looks like it's actually Frank who's Revelated far more.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to think that. Like, Sphinx's Revelation is not the only way to dig through your deck in chunks in Frank's deck. You know? Like, keeping those Planeswalkers in play for any length of time is going to thin your deck out pretty substantially.
So a big untap here from Harry.
And this is a scary spot for Harry because, he knows this is his game plan. Once you've committed to this, you cannot draw a card.
Yeah.
You get your card for the turn on your draw step. You've rationed those out exactly. And if that gas is not enough to get you there, you're done.
So Harry has picked up a Dissolve among other cards here from his Revelation.
Yeah, and of course, this is not just, finding gas to stay alive. This is finding gas to deal with 3 5/5s and 3 Planeswalkers right now, or 2 5/5s, but.
So there is a Supreme Verdict clearing away Frank's Sylvan Caryatid and Courser of Crufix.
Yep, that's step 1. And tapped 1 Mutavault in the process. I believe that Mutavault is turned off by Kiora currently, but it has access to 2 other Mutavaults and sends them both at Kiora, likely playing around something like a Zorius Charm.
Oh, Jace plus last turn.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah.
And now here's Aetherling. So a huge turn from Harry. Clearing up everything, doing some work on the Planeswalkers, and now Aetherling's in play.
Okay. Yeah, so Frank, of course, you were doing the math saying, like how long does it take an Aetherling to deal 140?
Yeah.
Frank's still at 40. He's obviously, he's got the steal of gain 100, kind of just sitting on the board there. Can ultimate his Ajani at any time, but has to actually make that commitment now if he wants to do it, because Aetherling doesn't take that long to deal 40.
And there it is. Frank now going up to 140 life.
Nice.
This broke our clock our tracker last time it came up.
Yeah, I was actually I didn't actually think that we had fixed it yet. I wasn't sure if we had or not, but
here's Supreme Verdict from Frank. Harry is simply going to blink out his Aetherling.
All right. So Frank actually at 140 there.
Yep. And now, with Dissolve no longer on the table, Harry's tapped too low. That gives Frank an opportunity to resolve Elspeth Sun's Champion. Want some tokens for you momentarily.
Yeah, Frank's deck not going to run out of Planeswalkers anytime soon.
And there's a plus from Jace.
This replacement Jace actually getting pretty close to ultimate territory. Although at this stage in the game, it's not clear what that even gets him.
Yeah, there's just more reactive cards, more Planeswalkers. The Aetherling, of course, Harry has in play. So not a lot left.
Yeah, if he ultimates Jace here, he can fetch out a Banishing Light or a Detention Sphere to... That's a pretty strong play, actually, to go digging for a Banishing Light, hit the Detention Sphere that is keeping Kiora locked down, and then plus Kiora targeting the Aetherling. If you can shut off Aetherling that way, you're in fine shape.
So here comes an activation here from Aetherling.
Yeah, it's Harry has so many options. Of course, if Aetherling is going to actually close the game out, we know it takes over 15 turns.
Yeah.
We don't know for sure, but we're pretty sure Harry's deck does not have 15 cards at this point.
Pretty positive. I
Yeah.
mean, from the count that it looked like Harry was doing there, it looked like there was maybe 15 cards, 20 cards left in the player's deck right before he revs.
Okay. So Aetherling strictly on anti-Planeswalker duty here.
So
And,
now that Harry has committed to the mana here comes the Cyclonic Rift again, forcing Frank to blink out potentially.
And Harry's going to consider countering this, it looks like.
All right, so adding some mana here.
Got some options for sure. Is this another Rev?
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't think that, as we've said, we're pretty sure that Revelation actually just ends the game. Oh, of course, Syncopate.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other reason would there be to count out a bunch of lands? Like Revelation, that doesn't sound right. But yeah, Syncopate would do it.
All right, so that allows Aetherling to take care of the Elspeth, and another one of Frank's Planeswalkers is down.
Harry's sitting at a relatively comfortable 23, so Ajani likely going to tick up and put some counters on some tokens here.
All right, so here is a plus from Ajani. That's going to turn those soldiers into 2/2s. And here comes an attack from Frank.
And we see that Frank actually found another Ajani. I am curious if there's an argument there for actually playing the second Ajani and making your soldiers into 3/3s there. Because of library sizes, I doubt that Frank actually wants to use the other +1 on Ajani at any point.
Correct. Sounds correct to me.
Yeah, there's an argument for that, and it would actually it would force Harry to use the. Well, actually, on this next turn, Harry has to attack Jace, and he's not going to kill it. So we suspect, if you're Frank, you have to suspect that Harry's Aetherling is tied up for at least the next 2 turns dealing with Jace.
So here's a temple here from Harry. Maybe you want to keep the Ajani as backup because you assume that at some point that Aetherling's going to take care of the Ajani.
Okay, right. You have to kind of look at each Planeswalker as a combat step.
Yeah.
As, you're going to have to waste mana and waste attacks with your Aetherling to deal with this Planeswalker, and then this Planeswalker, and then this one. The Ajani currently in play is 1, and Ajani replacing it would still just be 1 attack step.
Yeah, and we just got an update. Harry with 12 cards left in his deck. Frank with 11.
Okay. So Harry needs to stay alive for 12 turns.
Yeah.
That's the goal here.
And again, Frank has gone ultimate with Ajani, life total at 140.
This game is tense. And yeah, I think as when we went to this match, we said, well, these players really need to be thinking about the clock. They need to finish 3 games. I think both players are very much on the 1-game match mode here.
And we might not even get through 1 game.
No, 11 cards, not that many. I would guess that we'll get through 1, but I guess it's certainly no guarantee.
Yeah, these are some tough turns and some tough end steps, though.
They really are.
All right, so Harry goes up. Looks like he's firing all of his Mutavaults up here.
Okay, so actually gets some extra damage there. So it doesn't just have Aetherling to work with. So with his Mutavaults, he can actually finish off Jace and Ajani in one swing, it looks like. Although he's going to leave one Mutavault back.
Well, Jace is still plussed here, so.
Right. So he can deal 7 total with 7 total with Aetherling, 1 with one of the Mutavaults to finish it off, and then he could have sent the other 2 Mutavaults at Ajani.
Oh yeah, yeah. By only animating 2, he's short. He could have theoretically fired them all up.
If you are interested in either of these, come see my friend Nab.
So here comes the attack.
Registration station.
Okay, and it looks like he is going to deal with Jace. I believe they were all going at Jace. So I think there he is, again, trying to play around a potential form of interaction. Hasn't seen Azorius Charm all game, of course, because there aren't any in Frank's deck, but that's totally a card that you could imagine seeing 1 of, 2 of, especially in a deck like Frank's that seems stretched pretty thin in terms of like what it can find room for.
Yeah, you could easily see 1 or 2 copies.
Sure.
And here is a Jace from Harry post-combat.
And again, cannot use the -2 on this. Loses the game as soon as he ticks it down.
Can't kill Frank by damage, and again, 1 card ahead on library. That's his path to victory here. You see Aetherling phase out here at the end of the turn, comes back in, now Frank untaps.
And Frank is, Frank has 3 tokens. They are 2/2s currently. They would be 1/2s if they attacked. Frank can then, of course, activate Ajani to make them 3/3s. He could play another Ajani after that and make them 4/4s if he really wanted to. So there's some urgency on Frank's side to get this Jace off the board quickly, although less urgency, really. Normally, you're concerned about Jace because it's a source of card advantage. I could see an argument for just ignoring it here, actually.
Yeah. So Frank here, again, trying to figure out if there's some way for him to win in time. You see the clock there, under 4 minutes at this point, and this is almost certainly just a 1-game match.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We are not finishing a game. We're not even starting a game 2 at this point, I don't think.
All right, Frank tries to resolve an Elspeth. Harry says that's fine.
All right. Now, the Ajani, not an Anthem, can only grow 3 tokens at a time. So those extra tokens, not actually that significant. I could see them here, actually, the minus ability on Elspeth, just to clear out Aetherling for a turn, although, never mind. I just realized why that won't work.
All right, so there is the plus. Ajani pluses as well. Let's see how the counters get distributed. Looks like 1 more going on to the original pump, so now Frank with 3 3/3s in play and 3 1/1s.
So Frank has to figure out how to deal 17 damage in what is now 9 turns, I believe.
All right, so Harry picking up the pace a little bit, starts off the turn by animating Aetherling, going at the Elspeth, pumps to take it down.
All right, so just 3 tokens. 6 mana, make 3 tokens.
Jace pluses again, and now here's a detention sphere.
That's huge if it resolves. Yep,
And
clears them out.
there goes all the tokens. So the board is stable. You see the clock there. A little over 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, now Harry, you're right, basically has to just get enough turns to pass in 2 minutes, I think.
So passes the turn back to Frank. Frank's going to take a draw. It is a detention sphere of his own.
Okay. And that's a card that certainly has some juicy targets here.
Remember, he can also still plus his Ajani. There is a risk there, of course, that the decking is the way this game plays out.
Yes, every time you activate Ajani, you lose a turn that you are allowed to stay alive here, basically.
So the detention sphere, that gets met by dissolve.
Yeah, Frank has the option of plussing Ajani for gas. He actually also has the option of casting Sphinx's Revelation for gas, although that's a very, very risky situation. Doesn't find anything, and likely wrapped up the turn, though.
Yep.
Harry's going to check and see, likely reviewing what card types Ajani can and can't find there.
Or if the reveal is mandatory.
Oh, sure.
Or if it's mandatory for Frank to take something here.
Okay.
And now you see Harry just trying to win the game in time. He's not even going to bother to attack Frank again at 140 life.
Sure. Yeah, literally can't win with damage. Harry has 8 combat steps left before he decks himself, and can only deal 80 in that sense, or can only deal, 64 in that
All right.
time.
You see a temple there from Frank, and looks like both these players are just passing the turn back.
Okay. And this is looking good for Harry. I don't know the actual numbers here, but...
And keep in mind, next turn, that ultimate with Jace gets another card out of Frank's deck, too.
True, true.
It's like a time walk, basically. Another...
of all the sweet things that ultimating a Jace can do.
Yeah.
And Harry's going to consider things.
Yep.
Players in the Standard Open, that is time.
And presumably has a rules question of some sort, the judge is confirming.
All right, and now we see the Jace ultimate here.
All right, so we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 cards.
Way too many.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going to be looking at a draw here momentarily.
So takes a look at the... Harry takes a look at what is left in Frank's deck. Yeah, this is not a game that he can win. I don't think there are any other ways for him to actually get cards out of Frank's deck.
And the rare, it looks like we're looking at the rare 0-0-1 draw, unless there was some addition of time made as the players were getting over to the feature match area.
That's actually totally possible. This round clock coincided with the actual round clock of the tournament.
By about 10 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, and it is not uncommon at all for there to be a time extension of a few minutes for feature matches.
But it appears the clock was up to date. We're on time. We're on turn 2 here, and it does not look like Harry can win the game here, either by decking and certainly not by damage. Again, Frank went ultimate with that Ajani numerous turns ago.
And the players engaged in discussion here. I think both kind of realized the futility of continuing to play.
I mean, and a draw here is still very valuable for Frank.
Right, yeah, this is the awkward thing here. A lot of times you'll see a discussion like, well, I'm clearly winning, like, would you like to concede to me or something like that.
Yep.
In this case, there's no shame in just saying no to that. Well, there's no shame in saying no, period, in any situation. But
the match played out to its natural conclusion.
Yes.
Nothing left to be said about that.
But as you said, in this case, actually a draw, a loss actually removes Frank from top 8 contention. A draw does not.
Yeah.
So no incentive at all for him to concede here.
Gonna go ultimate with Ajani again, go up to 240 life, and now the perfect 0-0-1 conclusion here. Perfect. All right. Frank Lepore and Harry Corvese draw 0-0. Both players now X1-1, still in a position to win and in the next 2 rounds. Keep in mind that we're on the low side of 10 rounds here. We only had about 460 players, and so X1-1, especially at this deep in tournament, should be good to go.
Yeah.